Hi, I'm Charbria Shine, and welcome back to Max Out Girl. Alright guys, so I am so excited because today we have Reesie Davis with Praize Productions. We have a Women in Business Spotlight today. So, Reesie, she's affectionately called Reesie. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your background. How did you come into owning, because she's the CEO and founder of Praize Productions. How did you get there? Start from the beginning.
So I started PPI right out of grad school at 25.
Wow.
My degrees are in undergraduate degree is in secondary education.
Okay.
My master's is in educational leadership, so I have both my teaching license and my principal's license.
Nice.
But even in undergraduate school, I knew that I was only going to teach for 5 years.
Really?
I put a stop to it. I was like 5 years, and after that, I wanted to pursue my passion.
Okay.
Dance and the arts has always been my passion. I always wanted to have my own dance studio and dance professionally.
Yeah.
So I taught for 5 years in middle school. 2 years, sixth grade, all content, 3 years, eighth grade, social studies. And then in 2013, I went full-fledged into my passion in the arts, and I started dancing professionally with Joe Hall's company.
Wow.
I danced with them for over 5 years, and then, had PPI on the side, and then once Praize Productions got to a point where I could not do both, then I just really went into my passion with this nonprofit organization, Praize Productions.
Wow. Well, where did you come up with the name Praize Productions?
Everyone's asked me that, and it's so crazy. When I was 13, my father is a pastor.
Okay.
And so we would be driving to his church in Gary, Indiana, and I would pass this abandoned building, and I kid you not, I would see the word praise across it, just visualizing.
Nice.
With a Z. And I didn't know, I was like, I'm going to name, when I have my own dance studio, I'm going to call it Praise. I didn't know why.
Yeah.
So when I was 25 and an opportunity came to start my nonprofit, it's just already
It stuck with you.
Yes, had already been in my spirit, has already been in my mind, and so I just stuck with it.
Wow. So when you were teaching, you said 5 years and that's it. How did you stick to that? A lot of people can say, okay, dance, that may not be a lucrative career. It's really risky. You have a good job. You have a degree. How did you really put a halt to that and say, hey, this is my 5th year? Did you just quit your job, or how did you transition?
Yeah, so in education, they have something called the golden cuffs.
Okay.
So they always say, if you're going to leave education, do it after 5 years.
Because you get stuck in it.
You get stuck, you start making money. At that point, I had my master's. I probably would have went back. You start making really good money.
Yeah.
But I also, it's so crazy because I look back at me being so young at 25, because, now being 38, I'm like, I was a baby. What was I thinking? What was I doing?
Yeah.
But I just had crazy faith.
Nice.
I always knew that God put, He put this in my heart at such a young age. So you'd figure, I was, 12 years old, seeing praise across this abandoned building.
It's prophetic.
Yeah, saying that I wanted to have this dance studio. And so by 25, you're figuring that whole time that has been processing in my spirit and in my mind and in my heart. So it was just I'm going to do it. Being young, I didn't have that fear.
Okay.
It was just kind of now I think being older.
Yeah, now you might be like, ooh,
right,
I got the bills.
Right.
Yes, you're like, yes.
But then I was just so
it was the right time.
Yeah, it was divine timing.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy I did, because like I said, if I would have did it at 35, I would have been thinking about all the things I had to, the responsibilities and different things like that. So I was just no, I just had that leap of faith, and I just, at such a young age, I'm like, no, I'm not going to lose. I'm going to achieve these goals.
You're gonna get it.
I've always been very goal-oriented. So once I put my mind to something, I wouldn't stop until I achieved it.
I love that.
So even with grad school, I was I'm going straight through grad school right out of undergrad. I took 1 year off.
Yeah.
I paid my way through undergrad and graduate school, and was able to pretty much graduate debt-free.
Yeah.
And that was purposeful. And then when I said I was going to do, at 25, I was going to start my own business. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
So I've always had that like perseverance and that faith within me. That's just been something that's been instilled into me since a young girl. So yeah, it was just, I had that goal and I'm like, I'm going to achieve it.
So I'm hearing perseverance, basically. You
Absolutely.
set that goal and you're like, I don't care what I have to do to get there, I'm going to get there.
Absolutely.
I love that. So so what were the steps? Like, because my audience, a lot of them are entrepreneurs or some people are interested in business and they may ask, okay, that sounds nice, but because you're successful now, you've been doing it since 2010?
Yes. So
guys, it's been a long time.
Years.
Congratulations. That's
you.
Awesome. And she has amazing work and we'll get to that. But you've been doing it for so long, and it sounds so easy, but what were like the steps? What was your first step? How did you get to that point?
Oh, it was sacrifice.
Okay.
So like leaving my career, like I stayed home with my mom. I had a great support system. So let's start
That's
there.
good. That's great.
Having people who believed in the vision as much as I did, and I was blessed to have a mother who really saw that vision with me. Because I had to stay home. Like when you leave your career and you're dancing, I went to training, with Joe Hall. I was living in Munster. I would travel to the north side of Chicago. When I first started, I was teaching, but even after that, I was still traveling from Munster to the north side, and traffic was 2 hours.
Wow.
Going there, an hour.
How many days
home,
a week?
6 to 7.
Lord.
So because I didn't go to school for dance, I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not getting into debt. So if I'm getting another degree, I'm not going to now go into debt, knowing that I'm not going to stay in my career. It just wasn't smart.
Yeah.
So I kind of was just like, okay, I'm going to train twice as hard and make this degree myself.
Yeah.
And so I was taking...
Kind of teaching yourself instead of going to get a degree.
Yeah. So I was taking 15 to 20 classes, pretty much training in every single genre you could think of.
Wow. And did you have to pay for it yourself?
For that, I was blessed to be with the second company.
Okay.
So through second company at Joe Hall, they had something called a work-study program then.
Nice.
So I was able, I was cleaning, busting toilets, and cleaning mirrors in order to
pay for the
classes.
classes.
So, I think it came with sacrifice. It comes with hard work, so don't doubt that. So there were a lot of things that my friends were doing that I was not able to do.
Yeah.
So you're talking about your mid-20s, that's like the turn-up time.
Right.
I wasn't turning up. I was starting my business.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't.
Which is smart.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's awesome.
And so, I wasn't out partying all the time. I had just finished school. And, was trying to start this business. So, yeah, it was a lot of sacrifice. And I had a great support system with my mom, with my older sister. She's the one who actually helped me with my application for my 501c3
nice.
Status. She's a lawyer. So, I had a great support system.
That's awesome.
And I know I wouldn't have been able to do it without that.
Without their help.
Absolutely.
Great. So basically you're saying get that goal, keep going till you get there, and also get good people around you, supportive people, because you already had your sister, your mother, and some people may not be as blessed to have that support system, but there are people who can see your vision, who will support and rally around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then get that training. So before even starting my business in undergrad, I worked with one of my mentors, Angela Grayson, in Gary, Indiana. She had a educational facility called Educare. And so I helped run that. So I learned a nonprofit business. That's actually, I worked for her, used that money to pay for undergrad. But then I also was getting
educated.
First-hand experience. Because people always want to start their business, but I'm like, who did you sit up under? In order to be a phenomenal leader, you have to be an even greater follower.
I love that.
So I was under Angela Grayson in undergrad. After that, I studied under Kim Tyler with Endure Productions.
Oh, yeah.
She taught me the production side.
Okay.
So I was learning how to run a show, how to rehearse dancers, how to get into proper shape. She was the choreographer for the Lovables for over 20 years. So I studied under her for a number of years when I was 19. Up until grad school, I studied under Deion Champion. She had her own dance facility in Gary. Still does.
Yeah.
Dance Excel. She was phenomenal in really instilling different genres of dance, introducing me to modern and to African, learning how to tap. All those things I probably didn't train in when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went under Joel. So you're talking about 4 major mentors that taught me nonprofit production, dance, and when I got to Joel, I learned how to run a professional company.
Love that.
So I got all that, education and that firsthand experience, that apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Those things that people like, everybody's like, where's my check? Where's
Yeah,
my check?
they don't want to do the work.
Yeah, and then sometimes I didn't get paid for some of that stuff, but I got firsthand experience.
But it pays off now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so I got the experience, but I also, when we were talking about on the spiritual tip, I was sowing in other people's
Sowing the seed.
vision, but guess what? It harvested in PPI.
Yes.
So a lot of times we think, we have this new age generation has this, I got to get mine. I can't bless you because I got to get mine.
Yep.
It's very self-centered.
Yeah.
But I know I'm so fruitful and prosperous because I was very obedient and I was loyal and faithful in other people's vision.
Yeah.
And when I sold into theirs, I'm seeing that harvest now. That's what got me 13 years into Praize Productions.
I love that. And you're so right. You have to sow the seed and you have to get mentors because you're right. A lot of people don't want, they're like, okay, so you want me to intern? No, I'm not doing it. But they don't realize the value and the amount of knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that you're going to get from interning or shadowing somebody. Because like you just said, 4 different people, but there were very intricate details.
Absolutely.
And you learned all that. Now it's helping you run your successful business. So I really do like that.
And you can make the mistakes there. If I make a mistake now,
it's an expensive mistake on you.
Yes, I'm covering it, okay?
Yes.
I'm covering that mistake. I got to watch them make mistakes. So there's certain things I did within my organization that I was able to avoid.
Yeah.
And then also, people don't realize the blessing of having a covering. When I studied under them, they were my covering. So if I messed up, if I didn't know what I was going to do, I had someone to go to. When you are the CEO and founder, you are the top dog. You are the one that's constantly pouring. Yes, I can call my mentors whenever I need them, but the buck stops with me. And so, a lot of times people want to have their own. And I'm like, no, keep that covering when you can because, the weight of leadership can be crippling on this side.
Yeah.
So if you're not properly, mentally strong, emotionally strong, and even have the wisdom, you're going to break. And a lot of times people worry about obtaining, but it's like, no, I don't only want to obtain.
How to maintain.
Thank you. And they don't understand that
And
part.
not going crazy while maintaining.
Exactly.
Peacefully maintaining.
Yes.
Joyfully maintaining.
Yes. So I was like, I know I wanted longevity. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to just have the business. I want the business to outlive me. That's why it's not even named Inarisa. It's Praize Productions, so I can pass it down to the next person.
Yes, I love that. Wow, this is amazing. So basically, after you quit your job, you moved back home. Well, we've all been there. Well, not all, but I've been there. You moved back home. You had your family as support system. You started your nonprofit, and then you were actually still dancing with Joel Hall. So you're building while you're still learning.
Absolutely.
And you were starting teaching young girls with PPI. What were you actually doing at first?
So when we first started, our first production was called Visions. Envision Your Destiny.
Nice.
Look, that's what I was
like
doing.
that. Yeah.
And so that was at my uncle's church, St. John, in Roseland.
Nice.
And it was free, and it was a packed house. I think we had 1,200 people, I remember.
I love that.
And then after that, I started classes at Ada Park and Morgan Park in south side of Chicago.
Okay.
And it was just like classes maybe once or twice a week. So I was still able to dance full time.
Okay.
So
were you charging for those or?
Yeah, we were charged I think
nice.
back then it was like $5.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
cute, right? Not anymore. Oh, that's funny. So I was doing that, and then my business. I always say your business tells you when you can't do both. So I don't jump ship prematurely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I trained with Joel for many years before I stopped to just have to do PPI full time.
Okay.
But PPI told me it was time because
Okay.
I couldn't do both in the spirit of excellence.
Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
And when I knew I couldn't, I remember talking to Joel, and it's so funny because it's like, when you have those mentors, he's like, I already saw it coming, baby. And I was like, yeah, I just can't, I know I can't properly serve you in the spirit of excellence in the way that I know you're deserving.
Yeah.
And so that's
good.
Yeah, it was tough, but I knew it was time to move on. But, our relationship is great. Like, he still comes to every single show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Still a great mentor for me that I can call at any point. But yeah, my business told me when it was time for me to shift.
Yeah. Do you remember how long that took, roughly?
So I think it was 25. I think it It was like, I think I danced with a professional company with Joe, his first company, for 5 to 6 years. So I was about 30, 31.
Okay.
Yep, we had just did our show at the Harris, and then it was like right after that.
Nice, love that. Okay, so you started that, then your business told you, all right, we got to stop. All right, so tell us a little bit more about Praize Productions, not just a dance studio, right?
No, we are an arts organization housed on the south side of Chicago. I always said I wanted to serve the underserved, so I wanted to bring quality arts to the underserved communities at affordable rates and make it accessible, but by making it accessible, not diluting the quality.
Nice.
And so we have 3 platforms: our Performing Arts Academy, where we are now, where we serve pretty much these students are girls, take pretty much every genre you can think of in dance. We have year-round programming. We also do outreach, where we have contracts within Chicago Public Schools, and we outsource to other organizations to bring arts enrichment.
Nice.
And then we have our professional company, Rise Pro Elite, which is comprised of all women of color.
Okay, so these amazing productions, because they're not just recitals, which I love recitals, by the way, but this is different. There's so much more. Tell us a little bit about it. So you told us about Praize Productions, but these are some of the actual productions that you guys put on, and they're not just regular recitals. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
And how you came up with that idea to not just do a recital.
It's because I hated recitals.
Oh, ooh.
I was like, I don't want to see.
It got redundant.
I don't want to see a tap, touch.
Yeah.
I was like, how are these kids going to be able to be prepared for the real world?
You wanted to teach through something different, more creative, right?
Yes, more creative and more concrete for the professional world. You know, I think you become professional when you are put on professional stages.
Yes.
So our youth are the only pre-professionals in our shows. They get to perform alongside our professional dancers, professional musicians, singers, everyone. So they're already engrossed. By the time they graduate high school, a lot of my kids can put down award-winning productions on some of the largest stages in the city. We have motion pictures. So I really want to give them exposure and experience, because I know that that's what they need in order to be compatible. And to compete, in the real world. Yes. And so they need real world experience. And also, I get bored in dance concert. I'm a dancer, but I was like, sometimes I can't see 2 hours of dance. Yeah. So I think I use my education, my educational degree, seeing how we receive information as humans, and especially with this now COVID, where we are like screen time, short attention span. So I really took that into account of how the audience is receiving information.
Nice.
Everyone in the audience is not your dance enthusiast.
Yeah.
So how do you still keep their attention? So that's why we throw in spoken word, live music, instrumentation, visual art. So we hit all senses and all levels of cognitive development.
I love that. So you have something coming up, right? If someone wants to see one of these amazing productions, something's coming up. Tell us about that.
We have 2 great things coming up. Epic Women of Color Conference, which will be March 23rd at the Logan. That is we co-present that with Dance Connect Worldwide with Dominique Hamilton. Okay. And also Flo Walker-Harris with Feed. And that is a full day for women of color to just be inspired, poured into. We have these beautiful breakthrough experiences. We have a dining experience, a seat at the table, where it's intentional entertainment, where we also highlight women in our communities who are doing phenomenal things. So it's just a full day of getting love on it for women of color and our allies. So that's coming up in March. And in May 3rd and 4th, we have our 11th annual production entitled Black Love Reigns Supreme. This is the first time I'm releasing it publicly.
Oh, shoot!
So it doesn't really go out yet, but you guys are getting that fresh off the press. Yes. So we're really excited. That is a love letter to Black love. Yeah. So it has this 90s vibe, that R&B vibe that we like. And it is, like I said, multidisciplinary, told through dance and spoken word and live music.
So do you create all this by yourself? How does this get put together?
So I write all of it, and then I do a lot of the choreography, but we also have guest choreographers. This year we have William Gill of the Gill Collective. He's also the artistic director of Joe Hall now. Oh, yeah. So he will be co-directing with the male ensemble. We have a male ensemble, because I'm like, we can't talk about Black love and not have any. Right. So
yeah, you got to put them.
Women, he's bringing in the men. Yeah. And then I have phenomenal musical director, Dave Felton, who is genius, who comes up with all the original music and gets the band and the singers together. And then Marshawn Robinson, who's our phenomenal tech director, who comes to help with the staging and the entrances and exits. Like I want our shows are like an experience. Yeah. So when you sit down, like you are like
immersed in everything.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm excited. Yeah.
So it's like I always feel like art should make people feel, think, and act. So when you leave out of there, you're feeling something, you're thinking about something, you're about to act.
I love that. I love that. I gotta steal that. I love that. That's awesome. So where can they find more information about you and your company, about your productions? Tell our audience.
So you can visit our website, praizeproductions.com. That's Praize, Praize, Productions with an S.com. Also, you can visit us on Facebook or Instagram at Praize Productions.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah, follow us.
Follow them, check them out, go to their productions. You will not be disappointed. I've heard great things. We're going to be there. I'm just so excited. Well, thank you, Reesie.
Thank you so much for
coming
me.
on. Yes, of course. So, guys, as you know, I'm Charbria Shine. Make sure you go to charbriashine.com to check out some of our productions. We have our mini stage play series starting February the 10th. Whoop, whoop. Dr. Love, the stage play, is our first one. And then make sure that you sign up for our email blast, because September, we're going to have Single Woman Chronicles, the stage play in Chicago. You don't want to miss it. So, as always, I hope I said something that encouraged, inspired, and elevated your thinking. And always remember to max out, girl. I'm Charbria Shine. Talk to you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.